Hi, my name is Caitlin Ripley, and for my oral history project, I chose to interview my friend Meta Mamisevic. I chose to do this because I knew she was from Bosnia, but I didn't know much about it, so I wanted to use this as an opportunity to get to know her and her family ancestry some more. So here are my interview questions. I'm not going to read them all, but these are the baseline questions, and then after each one, the conversation just built off of those. So it was a really great conversation. I learned so much about her and where she's from, which was really awesome. Anyways, here's Meta. Her family is from Priboj, Serbia. She learned English in first grade and was raised by her mom and her grandparents. She's also a first generation college student, which is awesome. And then she talked about a change that she went through that was made a big impact on her life. And it was just when she was in Boise, switching from one school to another. And so I thought that I'd let you guys listen to her experience with that.
Grew up kind of like in the side of, again, like I said, like I grew up kind of like in the side of town where it was like less wealthy, and like it was kids like me because there was a lot of like Hispanic people, and there was also a lot of Bosnian people. And I moved like fifth grade to Southeast Boise, which is like definitely like a nicer part of town. And I went to like this like super rich school. All of them were just like white kids who just had tons of money. And like that definitely wasn't me. So that was definitely like a weird change in my life, having to adjust to that, because like
Right.
I definitely grew up like minimal, you know what I mean? Like I still got things, I still did things, like I still got toys. Like it wasn't like I didn't get anything, but it wasn't that type of lifestyle where these kids kind of just would get anything and like could say anything to their parents, and that.
Yeah. So then going off of that, let's talk about her family tree a little bit. So after Meta, she's first, then it goes to Alyssa Mimicevic, and that is her mom, and then it goes to Sedmir, and that's her dad, but it ends off there just because he's not really in the picture, so we're only going to talk about her mom's side of the family. So then we have Nazifa and Ramiz, and those are her grandparents. So learning a bit more, I just want to give a face to the name. So the big picture here is Meta's entire family that migrated to the United States. And then we have Meta's grandma in the yellow in the top right. And then we have Meta's mom as a little kid in the bottom. Then we have Meta's mom and her grandma on the left. So her mom is the little one, obviously. And then we have Meta's mom in Germany on the left. She's the blonde. And then the far right picture is Meta's grandparents, mom, and 3 aunts. So in the beginning, her grandparents were born in 1956 and 1955 in Priboj, Serbia. And then her mom was born August 21st, 1979 in Priboj as well. And Sadmir was born March 5th, 1978. And then lastly, Meta was born March 7th, 2001 in Boise, Idaho. So the timeline of the migration, after Alyssa was born, all her grandparents and her mom lived in Priboj until February 1993, and then they moved to Berlin, Germany. They lived in Berlin, Germany until May 20th, 2000, sorry. And then from there, they migrated to Boise, Idaho, May 20th of 2000, and then Meta was born March 7th. Then finally, her grandparents moved back to Priboj, Serbia in 2008, so that's where they currently are. Then I just want to give a visual of where they migrated and how far it was. So down below in the first picture, you see Serbia, and they went all the way up about 17, 18 hours up to Berlin, and then once they got a sponsor, they went all the way across the United States to Boise, Idaho. So I asked her, like, why did her family choose to migrate? So she told me that in Serbia, they had a small apartment, and we were barely getting by there. So they decided to migrate once the Bosnian genocide started to get pretty bad. And she explained this story that I think is really important, or really not inspiring, but a story that just stuck with me. And it was about her mom had this toy draft that they still have, and she would play with it to distract herself from listening to the bombs. And then here she explains a really personal story about this, which I think is something that we should all listen to.
My mom would tell me that like they'd be trying to like sleep at night and they'd hear like the bombs going off and
Oh my
stuff.
God.
And there's like also this one story that's kind of crazy. So my grandpa used to work at like this factory where a lot of people worked at, and in order to get there, like they would like transport him like to a bus every day. And this is when like things were like starting up, but like I don't think much has like happened. I think he was leaving work and he was driving back home, and the bus got stopped by the Serbian soldiers, and they like obviously can identify like who is Muslim and who isn't. And one of the soldiers knew my grandpa and was like, he's fine. And then all those people that were on that bus were never seen again. Yeah.
You're kidding.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, the fact that my grandpa got that lucky is crazy. It's so
That's
nuts.
so scary.
Yeah. And then there's like, they had to like jump the Berlin like border like multiple times. They got kicked out like 3 times before they finally got in and like stayed there.
Yeah, I just think that that's something crazy to hear because you hear about this stuff when you're learning about it in school, but then when you hear about someone who has a personal experience with it, it just makes it a lot more real. Anyways, moving on. So then I honestly didn't really know much about the Bosnian genocide at all, so I thought I'd look into it a little bit more. So it went on from 1992 to 1995, and the Serbs were killing and persecuting Muslims and Croats in order to create a Serb republic. And they consider this ethnic cleansing, so basically assimilation, which definitely was a genocide, so other countries started stepping in. They ended up killing over 8,000 Bosnian Muslims and expelled 25,000 to 30,000 civilians, which is horrible. And in this picture, you can see the list of names on this memorial. So then I asked her more about arriving in the United States. So they came because of a sponsor, and when they got here, none of them spoke English, and Meta actually didn't even learn English until first grade. And then she talks about the citizenship test, which I think is really important for people to listen because this is going on currently right now, and so I was, like, heartbroken to hear about more of this. So I'll let you guys listen to what she has to say. Oh, crap. And
I think they weren't legal for a while because they just got a sponsor,
right.
and then like I think like a year into it, my mom finally got her citizenship, and then it took my grandma a while to get my citizenship. Oh God, I remember like helping my grandma study for that. I was like 8 years old, like helping my grandma study for the citizenship test, and I was like, this is so dumb. Like half of like I feel like just us being our age right now and like growing up in America, like we would not know half of those like answers. Like I feel so bad for those people who have to like pass that test because like some of it's just the most unnecessary questions that like real life American citizens don't even know. And yeah, I just remember like helping her study for that kind of stuff, and it was just so dumb.
But yeah, I just completely agree. I think honestly, if they're gonna make other people do that, they should make U.S. citizens who are born here take the test when you turn 18 or something because it's just unfair. Anyways, because of time I've gone way over. I wish that I would have had more time to talk about this because I sped through it, but I learned so much from this project, so much about Meta. I am very thankful for this opportunity. Anyways, here's my lesson. Moral of the story: they're going to build an understanding of multiple perspectives and global interdependence. But yeah, not going to go into it. So thank you so much for listening.